Hey, everybody, welcome to module number 7. And wow, how can we be here already? It is amazing that it has gone this quickly. It just kind of blows me away that we are already almost to the very end. You guys have been doing great. You guys have been keeping up. You guys have been doing some really amazing work. Let's go ahead and let's wrap up the last 2 weeks really strong. I'm thinking that module 7 is probably the most impactful module that you guys will have. Obviously, first part, it's the end of the semester. We're getting very close to the end. And this is a place where you can really finish strong, right? And really make an academic statement. But I think another reason that this is such an important unit for you is that this is the type of writing that you will probably do the most of as you continue through your college experience and even into your regular real life after college, because argument is the type of thing we do the most of: speaking, interacting with people, and writing. In other words, we state a position and we try to back it up. We state a position, we try to get people to come around to our point of view. It could be as simple of, hey, I really want to go to this restaurant because, well, in our daily interactions, we do this already, right? Or it could be like when you're going in to get a pay raise and say, I need a raise because, right? And you're trying to convince people to do these things. And then in your coursework and then into your professional life, there's going to be a lot of times where you're pitching ideas, you're pitching solutions, you're pitching this information, and you're trying to convince other people of it. So this module is titled Joining the Conversation Through Argument. And I think one of the big things that we think about here, looking at that title, conversation, which we've been talking about all semester, it's about sharing ideas with other people, right? But in this case, we're using argument. And argument is a process where you state a claim, you provide the evidence, you walk your audience through that evidence and your thought process to come to a solution. And then you pitch that solution or that idea, that course of action. This is probably, again, a very common assignment that you're going to have throughout the rest of your college experience. One thing I will tell you is that very rarely will it be said, this is an argumentative paper, unless it's in an argumentative class, like a writing class. It'll be, here are 3 options. Which is the best one and why? So, it's the process is going to be very similar, but you're not going to hear it called this most of the time. So we've got some introduction. We've got some overarching tasks and objectives for this unit. You will get a lot of tutorials in this module. You will get a lot of different bits of information to kind of get you up to speed with argument. Again, I think a lot of us do this naturally, and I think this is probably more enjoyable for a lot of people because we all have an opinion and we all think we're right, and we want to share those ideas. But I think one of the things that you're going to see is that there's a lot of details and a lot of fine tuning that you might not be familiar with. There's a lot of terminology you might not be familiar with. So we are familiar with argument, but really maybe not how it works or how it's put together. Our writing project number 3, and you'll do the first half of it for this unit, you are going to take a topic based on our closed theme readings. Okay. So you've been reading all these different articles about food and culture and society and diet. You've read about food desert. You read about different types of diet. You've read about the impact or the connection between food and environment. There's a lot of different things that you have read about, and you've seen and you've experienced through discussion boards and other people's readings. For this one, we want you to take one of those topics, develop one of those topics out of that closed theme area and write an argumentative paper about it. You can pick any topic. You can develop anything that falls broadly within that. It could be expanded food benefits or SNAP benefits. It could be healthier food in schools. It could be, again, food deserts, access to food, eating locally. There's a lot of different things that you can explore, okay? And that's part of the reason why we've been having you do all those readings and those check-ins, right? To, again, broaden your scope. The paper that you will do, it walks you through kind of this explanation of how to do it. Again, we start with a really strong thesis statement. That thesis statement should very clearly state your position on the topic. Even if it doesn't offer the solution or the final piece, we should know very early on where you're standing, right? Where you're coming from. I shouldn't be halfway through the paper going, oh, wait a minute, they are for that after all, right? We shouldn't see that. Your thesis statement should be very clear about that. Do not include I, or my paper will, or I think, or my solution is. We keep ourselves out of this paper. That introductory paragraph, this is where you first interact with the title is where you first interact with the audience, but the introduction is where you really draw that audience in. And this is where you set it up. The best introductions are the ones that allow the audience to see and feel that issue, that topic. How does it touch them? What does it look like? Where do they fit into it, right? It's that first place where the audience starts to see themselves. The arguments, and we're going to, and in your tutorial stuff, you're going to talk a lot about arguments and making those claims, right? But you are going to very clearly state a claim. This is the problem, and this is the solution, right? You're going to provide that evidence, that reasoning, walking your reader through your thought process, okay? And then you connect all of these pieces together. Like, here's this thing, here's this evidence. How is it a problem? How can we solve it? What can we do to address it? Your half draft, Module 7 is the half draft. We are looking for 600 to 700 words. This is to be in either APA or MLA style. Either one is fine. Either one of those will be fine. You need to have at least 3 sources in this paper. You may or may not use those closed reading theme readings, okay? So you may use those, or you can find other sources. That's fine. The thing is, you will not be able to use only the closed readings, okay? The closed theme readings. You won't be able to use solely those. You will have to find additional research, okay? Again, as I've talked to you before, this is the half draft. We only expect half of the paper. But the more you can provide, the more feedback you can get. And so I really encourage you to write that extra. Finish it up. Get as much of it as you can, right? Because, again, we're going to be at the end of the semester. Week 8 is a little bit shorter. With the final paper turns in on Friday instead of this, the Sunday. So, the time frame is compacted a little bit. So you do have to kind of keep that in mind. But you will get more opportunity to improve your paper the more you turn in. Now, again, the expectation is half, okay? You have to turn in half of the paper. More is better, but you're not penalized if you only turn in the half. We get some additional information about how what research essays are. I will point out that you will, and I'm not really sure in the construction of this class, what the difference there is or why that was said. You will hear this paper, Module 7's paper, called the researched argument or the argumentative essay. So you'll hear both of them. They're both applicable. Because it is an argumentative essay and you have to do the research. So the research argument is probably a more appropriate term, but you will see both. This slideshow here kind of walks you through, what an essay is, what a research argumentative essay is. The kind of things that I think you can take away from this one is obviously when you take a stand, you're clear about it. Now, I know in the real world, there's always a little bit of gray, and it's kind of like, well, this, but this, or I'm kind of this, but I'm kind of that. We're going to be very clear. This is the answer. This is the point. This is the thing, right? There's a place to recognize the opposition or the other viewpoint. There's a place for that. But we really want to focus on really making a clear case and defending that position. We talk about being focused, debatable, and supportable. Obviously, you want to laser focus in on the problem. And you want to really focus on a very specific piece of the problem. Because if you allow a problem to have like 6, 7 different areas, there's 6 or 7 different solutions. So now instead of a 1,000-word essay, you've got a 10,000-word essay, right? It should be something debatable, and that means that it's something that people can agree and disagree on. We all believe that breathing air is good. Now, you can argue the quality of the air, right? You can argue that. But realistically, all of us believe that breathing is good. We can't debate that. A topic that is debatable that is, okay? And you really want to make sure that you keep that in mind as you're kind of developing your topic. And obviously that it's supportable, that you have information that you can find, that you can really use research to back up your claim. The rest of these kind of walks you through some samples of how to respond to these issues, and how to develop your ideas. So very helpful information there. And then we get some information about how to build your arguments. And the three pieces, the terms that I think you really need to be aware of is a claim, evidence, and reasoning. The claim is your position, okay? Maybe it's schools need to offer more and healthier foods. There's your claim. The problem is that kids are not receiving enough nutrition, not receiving enough food. Okay, great. There's your claim. That's the thing you're going to argue, right? Then you bring in evidence. Show us the evidence. The average school meal contains X amount of calories. This salt, this sodium, this calories, this whatever, right? This is the amount of food that kids eat, but this is how much food they get. You can talk about all those different things. You bring all those pieces in. That's the evidence. That's where we see the problem, right? That's where we see what it is, and you're really starting to back up your claims. What you say isn't nearly as important as how well you back it up and you prove it, okay? Very, very critical. And then reasoning that's that logical process. How do you get your audience from the problem to the solution? Here's a problem. Look at all this evidence. Explain why this backs that up. And then here's a solution, and how will it make a difference? Why is this the best course? That reasoning, that logic, that walking the audience through, okay? And again, I think a lot of times it's important for you to really be able to do that, because then the audience understands that you and them are on the same page, right? They may have never thought of that topic. Or maybe they thought of the topic, but they don't really know how it all works together. You're walking them through that. We do have a discussion board for this week, and this then is based on the they say, I say models. For this, your initial post, which you will want to do early in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, you are going to create 4 different claims. You're going to take your topic, the one that you're writing your paper on, and you're going to create 4 different claims. And using the information that you get in this unit, a claim of definition, cause and effect value, solutions, or policy. You're going to kind of test drive those, if you will. You're going to create those claims, you're going to post them up, and then you're going to respond to each other about what you see in that claim, what you see in that information, what you see in that approach. I wish that we would have done this last week a little bit, because I think it's a really good place to test drive what we're doing. I know that it's an exercise in how to do these things, so that when you go on to the next step, your next classes or whatever, you have some experience with different models. Okay. But this is a place where you could really start to finesse your approach. Don't forget that your initial post needs to be up early. Your replies to other people, they need to be standing on their own, right? They need to be fully developed. They stand on their own, and they continue that conversation. It's not just, yeah, that's really good. I like what you said. I like what you said because da 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 da. Have you thought about this? Or another thing is this, or when I thought of this, this is what I thought. And allows that conversation to continue. To get the most points on this discussion board, you need to be posting on multiple days, and you need to be doing more than just the minimum. And then we get to the actual submission of the draft. Again, the more you can turn in, the better for you. You don't want to be crunched at the end of the semester, obviously, and you get more feedback. You will post your half draft here. Be aware that it does have the rubric here that kind of gives you some ideas of what we'll be looking for in this. And then you will also post a copy of this on the Module 7 discussion board. And this is where you will put up your draft, and then we will peer review and peer edit it next week. Okay. So, guys, I just want to continue saying that you guys have been doing some great work. There's been some amazing things. You guys have been really, really committed this semester, and I'm so impressed by that. I know that, fall is tough because the weather's nice. You want to be out more. There's so many things going on. If you got kids, you've got like 18 different directions you're going. Here down in Evansville, we got the Fall Fest this week, which is 100 and something booths of fried food fun. So I know we have a lot of things going on, and you may or may not be focusing on this. This may not be your first priority, but you guys are doing really well. You guys have been keeping up. You've been doing some amazing work, and I've really been impressed with what you guys have been able to accomplish this semester so far. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure you're reaching out. Email me is the best approach. jdwells@ivytech.edu, best approach. If you do send a question, try to be very clear about what you need. That way, when I respond, I can give you your answer. If you say, hey, I've got a question about this assignment, then I'm going to reply back. What was the question? Then we all back and forth. So the more information you can provide in your initial email, the better. That way I can provide you a better answer quicker. All right. But make sure that you are reaching out. You do have multiple channels to do that. Please utilize them. And guys, we're almost there. Continue it. Good luck.